Hello, my hair's a bit of a mess today, but it's okay because so is my life. Let's talk about Torchwood. Okay, so Torchwood has been on the BBC iPlayer for a couple of months now, maybe. I don't care. Um, and so I took the opportunity once Series 12 of Doctor Who finished to watch it because I've never seen Torchwood before because I was too young when it first came out, and then I've just never got around to watching it since. So I watched that and I finished it about 2 weeks ago, as of the time of recording this, and then I've just not made this video. I knew I wanted to talk about it, and I just haven't for 2 weeks because I wanted to do something for the 15th anniversary of the show and didn't, and then the world ended. So I've just sort of been putting it off, but it's here now. So today we're going to be talking about Torchwood, but I mention that only because I'm doing these mostly from memory. I've not rewatched them since when I watched them 2 weeks ago or whenever it was. So if I misremember things a little bit, then oops, sorry. Also, I haven't seen Series 2. I've been holding that off till I've talked about it, which has been a bit irritating because I could have started 2 weeks ago, but I just made a bloody video. But this is, I've purely seen Series 1 and that's it, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about Series 1 and asking, is it actually any good? Because a lot of people say that Torchwood is the best Doctor Who spin-off. Do I agree? Well, you'll have to bloody watch and find out, won't you? So let's get on with the video. Everything Changes might as well be called Gwen, because it is astoundingly similar to the Doctor Who episode Rose, in the way it introduces its main cast of characters, the way it formats it, and it follows an ordinary character in this world who finds out about these magical things. Not magical, but it's essentially Rose, but with swearing. And that's not a bad thing. Rose worked as an introductory episode, so to use the template for that for Torchwood makes a lot of sense. It's very obviously Russell T Davies in that sense, though, because it's very similar to Rose. Of course, there are differences. Rose works in a shop, Gwen is a police officer, but it is effectively the same basic sort of format and way of introducing the show, which makes sense. It is otherwise unremarkable, though, apart from introducing the show. It's fine, it's not bad, and I liked it, and I wanted to watch more of it. We've got a strange obsession with Captain Jack just standing on rooftops for no reason. Not really sure why that is a thing in Torchwood, but it is. It's a serviceable introduction to the Torchwood premise. I think it balances as well, being more adult than Doctor Who. It's got swearing in it. It's a bit more gory than Doctor Who, in that you see a weevil sort of bite into that guy's neck and blood spurts out, and it deals with some darker things that Doctor Who wouldn't do, like reviving someone who is dead. So it's a pretty good introductory episode. It sets some things up that will continue later on in the series. For example, the glove, what's it called? That thing, and Susie, of course, for later on. But other than that, it's mostly unremarkable. But it's fine. I enjoyed it. 7 out of 10. Let's move on. I wonder what more exciting, fun stories Torchwood can give us. I would really like to be in the room where they were discussing ideas for Torchwood and the sex gas monster came up. And I want to know who it was who said, yeah, let's do that, that's a good idea. I don't think it's Chris Chibnall who wrote this episode. I don't think it's his idea, because although generally I enjoy the current era, the Chibnall era of Doctor Who, admittedly, ideas are not Chibnall's strong suit. A lot of his good episodes are using ideas from previous Doctor Who episodes, or other media. For example, Tim Shaw in The Woman Who Fell to Earth is basically the Predator. Arachnids in the UK, it's not a good episode, but you know, big spiders, that's not a new idea. I quite like the Pating, but it's got its own, the guy who created it has his own credit in the credits, and it's not Chris Chibnall. He's not great as an ideas man, but you give him an idea and a concept and he'll write it very competently. And if you say, Chris, will you please write an episode where a sex gas is accidentally released from a space rock and inhabits a girl who then has to have sex with men, otherwise the sex gas will kill her. It's a competent enough episode for that concept. It is a terrible concept though. I think if you were going to do this, you have to be more tongue-in-cheek with just how silly it is. It takes it a bit too seriously. And especially for episode 2, why did they do this? It's so strange, and it is a miracle that Torchwood even recovers from this episode, and it's not even the worst one yet. It's just very odd. You know, there are some decent performances, although, you know, we're 2 episodes in, and I still don't like Owen yet. He's still a bit of a dickhead, I think. It's got that weird scene where Captain Jack teaches Gwen to shoot a gun. She's in the police. Do they not have guns in the police in Cardiff? I would have assumed that she would know how to use a gun, but I guess not. So we have to have a gun shooting montage or something. I don't know. It's a bad idea, and you know, the episode tries its best, but it's still a terrible, immature, you know, puerile. Is that the right word? You know, it's like a 15-year-old's idea of mature, and this is not good. Yeah, 4 out of 10. Let's move on. Ghost Machine is fine. It'd be nice if it was about something, anything. It's like they had this idea for the Ghost Machine, you know, but then they couldn't fit it in, they couldn't stretch it out to 45 minutes, so they just keep adding on things. You know, Gwen finds it and sees this boy from the Blitz, and you think, oh, maybe there's some mystery about this boy. And then she finds him, and he's fine. He's an old man. He's good. He's had a good life. And he just says what we've already seen from the Ghost Machine. But then Owen gets the Ghost Machine, and he sees a rape from the past, and he's like, I'm gonna get that rapist, and he finds the rapist. And then he confronts him in his house, and then he gets there's a big confrontation. He gets thrown out, and then the episode just sort of keeps going. The guy who had the Ghost Machine, Owen just finds him in a street, and then there's a comical chase scene, and then it turns out that the guy's got another part of the Ghost Machine that shows you the future, and then Gwen sees a vision of the future where it looks like she's killed Owen, and then the rapist guy is about to go and kill the other guy or something, and then Gwen gets a knife off him and then holds it out, and then he walks into it. So technically he killed himself, but also Gwen sort of killed him. But all the characters go, no, Gwen, you didn't kill him. It could have happened to anyone, because we've still got 10 episodes left of this series, so we can't have any big character moments happen yet. It keeps adding things and going, and there's no, you know, where the episode starts has no link to where the episode ends. There's no through line. There's no, you know, Owen doesn't really learn, like, you know, in the first 2 episodes I thought Owen was a bit of a sleazy, you know, he uses women, he uses that alien spray to get the woman to come, to sleep with him in episode 1, and then just watches Gwen making out with Karis in episode 2 and saves it. That's a bit odd. Maybe that was a little bit more acceptable back in 2006. It's still odd though, and I found it uncomfortable. And so this episode, I knew that it was about rape. It included Owen seeing a rape, and I thought it would be a good character moment for Owen to be like, oh, okay, maybe I should treat women a bit better or something. But that doesn't really happen at all. And it's not really about anything. It's just very odd. I don't understand how this idea came to be. If you can't get a narrative through line from the start of the episode to the end, maybe don't do it, because the mystery of the future thing that Gwen sees is like 3/4 of the way into the episode, and it's just really odd, and it doesn't go far enough with the rape confrontation, and it's frustrating, you know. When I first watched it, I thought, oh, okay, that one was good because it was better than Day One, which maybe not want to carry on with the show at all. And Ghost Machine was good enough, but looking back at it, actually, you could have done a lot more with that. You could have gone further with it, and it's just very disappointing, really. I don't have much else to say about it. It's fine, but it's still 5 out of 10. Or maybe that one's a 4 out of 10. And Day, yeah, okay, we'll say Day One's a 3 out of 10, and Ghost Machine's a 4 out of 10. Let's hope the next one's a bit better. Cyberwoman is the type of idea that you think of, write a first draft, realise it makes absolutely no sense, and throw it in the bin and just do something else. Alright, let's get the elephant out of the room. The elephant out of it. Let's the costume, the sexy Cyberman woman costume is abysmal, and how that made it onto TV, I don't know. It's terrible. I think the worst thing about that costume is that it was made into a toy that children could buy. Why? And then the rest of the episode is just bad. If you've not seen Stu Bagfull, back before Series 11, he did a video looking at all of Chibnall's work on Torchwood and Doctor Who before he took over, and his commentary on Cyberwoman is, it really just highlights how ridiculously illogical it all is. Yanto gets his Cyberwoman girlfriend out of Canary Wharf, transports her to Cardiff in secret, as well as a big Cyberman conversion machine that he has to plug into the wall of the hub, the ceiling of the hub. How does he do that? That makes no sense. Why does the guy that the Cyberwoman tries to convert have a bit like in his face? That's not how those Cybermen convert people. Why would it be underneath his skin? It's so ridiculous. I mean, it's a creepy visual, but it doesn't make any sense. And then she just gets attacked by a pterodactyl or something. Why would they ever trust Yanto again after this? Why did you make this? Why did you make this? It's so bad. It's so bad. Honestly, just a mistake of television. I really, genuinely hate it. It's appalling. I think that this managed to get made in the state that it's in. Was this a first draft that they just did hastily or something? Also, like, the Cyberwoman is like has impact on the rest of this series. Not the rest of it, but she's brought up, throughout the series. It's mentioned about the Cyberwoman, so it's a pretty important episode to the character development of Yanto in this series, and it's shit. It's just really bad, and embarrassingly bad. I feel sorry for the woman who had to wear that costume. It's not scary. The hub's not big enough to do a chase scene. There's no good resolution. She does a brain transplant on the pizza delivery girl or something. 1 out of 10. A mistake of television. Fucking Small Worlds. Okay, I don't know what happens in Small Worlds. And that's not because, you know, I watched it 2-3 weeks ago and I just can't remember. After I finished watching it, I had no idea what had gone on. So there's these fairies that look horrendous. I mean, the visual effects are awful. And they kill paedophiles or something. Or people who, like, Jack's army members murdered a child. But then they're all just laughing and joking on a train, because who cares if we murdered a child or something? And the fairies kill them all, except for Jack, because he didn't kill a child. But every single one of the other people all participated in killing a child? Or did they not kill a child? I don't know. I can't remember. I don't ever want to watch it again. And then Jack has this old woman lady who he fell in love with, who dies by she drowns by getting rained on because it's raining, and she looks up into the rain with her mouth open. So she drowns, so that's how that works, I guess. Just look at the ground and you probably wouldn't drown. And then there's a little girl who has magic powers or something because of the fairies, and then the fairies want her for something, and she says, and then Jack gives her away to the fairies, and the mom is like, you stole my... I don't know what happens. And then it just ends, and all the rest of the crew are like, wow, you just sacrificed a child. And he goes, what else could I do? And I'm like, I don't know, write a good episode, maybe? What happens in Small Worlds? I don't know. I think there might have been an interesting idea here, you know. This isn't like Cyberwoman, where it's a... I mean, Cyberwoman you could have done something interesting with, but they didn't. But this... Maybe the... I was going to give this a 2, but I'm giving it a 1 out of 10. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Can we move on to a good episode, please? We're 5 episodes in, and the batting average is horrendously low. What did I give Everything Changes? 6? 7? That's only okay. Can we have a good one, please? Oh, thank God. Thank God. Countryside is fine. I'm not a big horror person because I'm a big old pansy and I don't like being scared. And Countryside plays on those sort of horror tropes. That being said, I was not scared by it at all. And I knew it was cannibals. But even if I didn't, I don't know how scared I would be. There's some gruesome imagery, you know, with the bodies on the meat hooks and the skinned bodies and stuff. You know, it's pretty gnarly stuff, and that works. That's effective. But the rest of it, it's not particularly scary. It's unnerving, but it's not scary. And maybe it's not trying to be scary, but it's still fairly cliche. It's definitely Chibnall's best script of Series 1. And again, I think it might be his idea to do, but again, it is playing off cliches and horror tropes. So he's using things to form his own stories, which he can do quite well. We've seen with his Doctor Who work things like, I think, Spyfall's quite good, and that's got a lot of elements of spy films and previous Doctor Who episodes made into something that works. But yeah, Countryside is okay. Of course, this is the episode where we first see Gwen and Owen first starting to have their relationship, I suppose. And it's it's fine, but I can't help but like I don't know. I still don't love Owen at this point. He's still a bit of a terrible person. I like the bit at the end where Gwen is trying to work out why the cannibals do what they do, and the main guy is like, oh, well, I'm not going to tell you then. You know, he gets under her skin, and that's really good. And the fact that the episode doesn't provide a cut and dry, you know, very clear motivation for cannibalism. It leaves it very vague and sort of up to the imagination, and that's really effective. That works. But yeah, Countryside is okay. You know, it's probably the best of the series so far at this point. But it was at this moment when I sort of realised why Torchwood wasn't really working for me yet. I mean, you know, I was enjoying it enough to keep going, you know, and I was always going to watch it all, and I knew that season 1 was mostly a bit naff. But I realised that instead of saying, okay, this is adult Doctor Who, we can tell the stories we want to tell and not be restrained by having to hold back on some things because it is a kids show like Doctor Who. You know, we can do those darker things, we can touch on those more mature subject matters if we want to, if it services the story. Instead of doing that, Series 1 Torchwood goes, we're the adult Doctor Who, we can tell mature stories, we can do about sex and rape and stuff, you know. Episode 1 is episode 1, it's the introductory episode, so it doesn't really have too many themes or anything, it's just getting all the characters into place and getting you familiar with the status quo of the show. Episode 2 is the episode about sex, episode 3 is the episode about rape, episode 4 is the sexy Cyberman episode, episode 5 is the episode about fairies that kill paedophiles, and episode 6 is the episode about cannibalism. All very mature, adult, you know, themes or ideas or whatever. And Countryside happens to be okay at it, but the rest of them aren't. Because their priorities aren't in telling a good story first and foremost that can push the boundaries a bit more. They've actively gone out to look at these concepts that you wouldn't be able to explore in Doctor Who and writing stories about those first, and they're all in the first half of their series, so I think that's clearly the stories they were like, oh well, we can tell these stories, so let's just tell those stories regardless of whether or not we've got good ideas behind them, and the stories we tell about those ideas and those themes are good, you know. And Countryside was when I really started to feel the effect of that, and it was also after this when the episodes started to feel less like about that and more sort of like just good sci-fi, just stories that could push things if they wanted to, but weren't about those ideas, which is whereas the first half of the series really was about that, and it didn't quite work. I would give Countryside 6 or a 7, probably a 7. I think I gave Everything Changes a 7, and it's probably better than that. But it was still only okay, I thought. But it was a real turning point for me watching the series, and in the way I felt about the series. And so that's where we're going to leave it today. So I was always planning on splitting this video into 2 halves because we're probably getting on for 25 minutes or so, depending on how much I cut out of this, which is probably not that much really. So I don't want to bore you too long. I don't want to make an hour-long video about Torchwood. So I'm going to leave this here. Come back in a couple of days with the rest of the series and my overall thoughts. Is it any good so far? No, not really. But maybe the rest of series 1 will change my mind. Maybe it won't. Who knows? I know, but you don't know. So tune in for the second part of this video when maybe you will know. and that is where we're going to leave things today. That's... Yeah, okay, bye.